We're talking about concentrations. Well, groundwater, like everything, obviously flows through gravity, and you can look at up-gradient wells to see where the nitrate seemed to originate. Is that consistent? Is the concentration in up-gradient wells consistent with your theory?
When you take into account the MTBE and the nitrate issues and the wastewater, they've always been linked. And that's how they kind of figured it out.
I don't believe that it even came close to answering your question. There's a little bit of disconnect in that how then the nitrates got up in that area and how nitrates got in our Choral Valley, if in fact there's no connection at all to the fertilizers. But I don't think there's one specific answer here.
The Regional Water Quality Control Board and State Department of Health Office of Drinking Water have recommended a conditional closure of the case, or case closure. Has that already happened?
We were able to get a Shell employee to come forward and say that he had doctored reports. And that made Shell come to the table and agree to make one of the most aggressive cleanup in MTBE history. I get calls all the time from cities saying, how did you get them to do such an aggressive cleanup procedure? And I said, it was lucky. We did.
That we are currently doing a study of the Choral Valley wells, knowing that our city budget hasn't improved any. How thorough is this study?
And it's an enterprise fund. So I don't know the extent of that study. And I'm sure you'll see it, and the public will see it as soon as it comes out. We've had experts along the way all the time informing the city of what our actions should be, and we rely on the experts.
Your concern is not that the MTBE issue has not been cleaned up. That's not your issue. Your issue is those remediation wells may have caused penetration of the aquifer that supplies our drinking water, so that it could have been polluted with sewage from our sewer lines. Do I have that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Based on what I've heard today, certainly I am not the right person to address these concerns, because I would just obviously go to the water board and ask, can you clarify these questions for me? So, and it is, our water board is an independent agency, so I would suggest that you contact them. I assume you already have.
Excuse me, I made contact with all of you folks telling you that I had what I believed was the electric car of the wastewater industry, that it was going to save so much money and conserve so much water and just energy, carbon footprint, all the things that everyone's talking about. Here is an actual dyed-in-the-wool solution, complete, ready to start installing tomorrow. And you're talking as though we're talking about going to the moon. I mean,
I guess what I'm saying is I think the technology is very interesting, and I want to learn about these kinds of technologies, and this one is of particular interest because, like I said, I've seen the larger facilities. I have not even heard of one that you could hook up to an individual household, but I'm not the person that writes in changing our state laws or in making
absolutely
sure that
not.
we are following our state laws
Absolutely.
properly. And that is really where that's where the water board comes in.
It's clearly established now that human factors, mainly the adding of carbon dioxide and other things to the atmosphere, is accelerating the movement toward a warmer environment, and that in turn is melting the ice caps on the Arctic and Antarctic. And there's enough ice in the 30% of Antarctic ice caps, which are now subject to melting, to raise the sea level 15 feet everywhere in the world.
We appreciate that, particularly on today, Earth Day of all days. As I said, we need new technologies online. That is what we're trying to do for climate change. We have one of the very pervasive nitrate groundwater pollution problem in California. On this Earth Day, it's good for us to help facilitate this. So we're happy to help you facilitate this meeting with our experts.
Thank you very much for your time.
thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you as well. Bye.
Bye, ladies.
I didn't know today was Earth Day. I thought Sunday was Earth Day.
Good evening. Marla Jo Bouton, North Morro Bay. And I was one of the citizens who made the presentation to the PWEB Public Works Advisory Board, for those at home that don't know what PWEB is. We had attempted to agendize and present to the Morro Bay City Council on the issues that we have concerning the MTBE remediation work and the severe nitrate pollution that has occurred in our sustainable water source, the Morro Basin. Nitrate study was done, and we did a rebuttal. Richard and I did everything that we could once we became aware that the city staff had brought the closeout of 68 monitoring wells of MTBE before the Planning Commission and asked them to approve to send a request for closure to the regional board. And my understanding is that step had to come from the city before the regional board could act on the closeout of the wells. The staff had said that that project was outside of the appeals jurisdiction of the California Coastal Commission. That was not true. We've had our appeal accepted. There is going to be tentatively a hearing July 9 and July 11, one of those days. All the way through this process, the Morro Bay City Council has been involved. And then to slip it through at Planning Commission without bringing it to you, our elected officials, I believe was a breach. Thank you. Thank you.
Another thing about activism is you need to be able to recognize when you do accomplish something, even if you don't know where it's going to go, but you've successfully given an attempt to work out a solution.